Welcome back to the archive. If you haven't seen the first episode, aka May 2008, go check it out now for an intro to this series. Anyway, the first video of the month has me talking about the history of Windows 7 so far, although before even getting started, I get stuck attempting to simply define what a build is.
I first started to really understand what a build was when build 6801 came out. A build is sort of a beta version, well, it's just a version they make of it that is almost like, it's like they make a whole operating system which sort of, so hard to explain.
Seriously, it's not that hard. Just say it's a compiled version of an operating system used for testing that may or may not be the final publicly released version. Anyway, I'm not in the mood to listen to any more of this, so let's move on to the next video.
I want to see if you notice something about this video. First of all, you may notice it's a little bit blurry, sorry about that. I can't really clear it up due to bad compatibility. Why would it such be bad compatibility and...
Bad compatibility? More like bad grammar and poorly constructed sentences. Basically here I had my webcam plugged into my MacBook rather than my desktop PC. I then had Parallels Desktop running on the Mac so it could run Windows software in order to be able to run my Logitech webcam recording software. It wasn't perfect, which is why the video's colours were a bit off, and of course this meant a lower and less stable frame rate.
This is how I'm holding it. I've got the laptop like this and the camera in front of it.
What a messy setup, think logically. I'm walking around doing a house tour while holding a laptop in one hand, plugged into a webcam in the other hand, which is running via a Windows virtual machine. Wouldn't it be easier to simply record with the inbuilt Mac webcam rather than having extra devices and a virtual machine running? Anyway, this tour wasn't anything spectacular. In fact, it was awful.
Here's my front door to my house, which also can contain calendar, which says April.
Any normal person would click out of this video right away due to the poor resolution and painfully low frame rate. But this stating the obvious commentary is pretty much the last nail in the coffin.
And more sliding mirrors. And by sliding mirrors, I mean sliding.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows what sliding means. Anyway, I'm not going to put you guys through any more of this torture, but I do want to point out here the ridiculously small size of my parents' TV. I mean, look how the remote is longer than the height of the screen itself. I'd say the screen is around 12 to 14 inches, and unless you use an iPad as a TV, I doubt you'd find any brand new TV in a 2019 shop where the remote is taller than the screen. Harvey Norman, for example, doesn't sell any TVs for less than 24 inches anymore, and its most common model in stock is 65 inches. Moving on to the next video now, Nana and Grandpa come over for lunch, although Nana's entrance certainly isn't the most elegant. God. Yeah, my parents love glass coffee tables, and so many guests have walked into them due to how invisible they appear. Anyway, my grandparents brought a special Easter surprise they won in a competition, but they argued about when the prize should be revealed.
But that was the second part of the prize that's underneath that thing. You can have a look at that.
I'm allowed to look at it now?
Yeah.
No!
Yeah? Well, what are you going to do?
Okay.
Oh, did you win that?
As you can see, there were plenty of Easter eggs here and a bunny for Jasmine, but apparently even Jasmine's name is something to be argued about.
Oh, and even a pink bunny.
Wait.
Not Yasmin, Jasmine. Jasmine. Yasmin. What do you call a Yasmin?
That's the European way of saying it. The J is pronounced as a Y in Europe.
Yeah, life is full of those minor arguments and disagreements, but then of course you have those more major arguments.
Because we won't be having
that there and you put it
Oh, berserker! Stop
and
it.
listen what I say, don't be bloody thick-headed.
Sorry for the language there, but after people have been married together for so long, these types of arguments can occur. Moments later, my parents are arguing in the background while my grandparents continue theirs.
No, I'm not going to do anything. I was thinking of what...
Never want to let me to finish what I want to say. Thick-head.
I know the language sounds bad here, but trust me, it's not. It's just my Nana's accent making an innocent word sound like a much ruder word. All this arguing stops though when my mum finds a cute little basket.
It's even got 2 little eggs inside it.
Has it?
Yeah, look. No, not Easter eggs. They're fake.
with the bunny.
So,
Oh, look.
Yeah.
actually, there's another one of them. You want to take one with you?
No.
Oh gee, I guess the arguing continues. Something you can't argue about though is what brand of phone my grandpa has.
You approve of that name?
Yeah, I thought you'll give it to her, not
Yeah.
Mobiles.
Oh, you're kidding. An empty box.
G'day, mate.
Yep, that's the classic Nokia ringtone that was so common to hear back in the 2000s, but now in the late 2010s, you almost never hear that sound. Oh, and on the topic of sounds, what do you think caused this?
Look, I ate
Oh, you haven't eaten it all.
Whoa!
What was that?
We go to the kitchen to investigate, but my nana quickly comes up with her own conclusion.
That scared the hell out of me.
go.
Yeah, my nana wasn't very religious, but she was very superstitious. Later that day, I show my grandpa a picture of the 2035 Audi RSQ.
Check out this car.
Yeah, that's what my hands has got, an Aldi.
No, but that one.
It's the two-door Aldi, the sporty Aldi, but I don't think it's not quite as modern as that, but it's the very latest.
Do you
Aldi.
know why? Do you know why?
2035.
That's a 2035. That's a
Futuristic.
futuristic, yeah.
It's not that far removed from the current one.
Basically, the car was made for a movie called I, Robot, set in 2035, and I was super obsessed with it, as you'll see later. Anyway, in the next video, I discuss an app on my iPod that uses binaural beat technology to tune your brainwave frequency into a more active or sleepy state, and in the video after that, I continue to talk about the Audi RSQ.
As you probably know, I'm going crazy over the Audi RSQ. I love it and I wish I had one.
Personally, I hate cars, so no, I don't wish I had one now, but I do wish more cars on the road look similar to this, as I'm quite bored of the typical car design with conventional wheels, which this concept car certainly changed with its use of spheres.
First of all, you can notice it's on my bedroom door because I like it so much. It's actually set as my desktop background.
Wow, that's a bit much. Not only is it on my door, but it's also my desktop background, and it stayed on my door until 2010, where I was doing videos with my sister in my room, so it certainly must have been one of my key interests back then. In the next video, I simply talk about how my grandpa is going to take me to the Easter show soon.
This is the 5th time I've gone, and this is the last time he's taken me, so it's good that this is the last time I can get footage of him taking me to the Easter shows.
Yeah, this truly was the last time he took me to the Easter show, as the following year he was quite upset with my nana's passing, and the year after that he'd already passed away himself, so the Easter show video later this month is quite special for me, and I let my grandpa know I'll be recording it in the next video. You know, Grandpa, what we're going to do with the Easter show? We're going to bring this video camera here, and we're going to record the Easter show day.
Yeah.
I want you to focus on the chickens.
Yep.
I love, they showed it last night on the news. They showed this Chinese chicken with a fluffy head, and they showed all these other chickens crowing. Rows and rows of chickens. I want to see that. But focus on the Chinese chickens. I like those ones.
Chinese chicken.
Yeah, they're fluffy and white.
Yeah, I know what they are.
Yeah, my mum loves chickens, especially Chinese chickens, so the main reason she got me to film the Easter show in a later video was to get some footage of the Chinese chickens, and she loves them so much that in 2018 we ended up getting our own Chinese chicken. Anyway, a little later, some rainbow lorikeets come to visit. Another one.
Look at that.
It's funny how rainbow lorikeets are wild birds, yet without hesitation they'll just go and eat from a human's hands, even if that human is a complete stranger to them. We don't see rainbow lorikeets down here in Tasmania due to the fact that they're often competing with the swift parrot. Anyway, the next few videos are pretty boring. I just talk about that Pocket God app and later discuss a time travel RTS game called Acron, set to release in 2011. I also discuss how by working at McDonald's, I'm now only $50 away from paying off my MacBook and iPod Touch, but I am certainly vocal about my dislike towards working there.
Basically, I work at McKell. otherwise known as McDonald's. I call it McHill because I hate it. $7 an hour, but it's $7 a crap hour. Anyway, it's really horrible working there.
Yeah, it certainly was awful, so I ended up quitting 2 months later. Anyway, we'll skip the next video as it's just me talking about potentially being a beta tester for Akron, which I never was, so let's move on to the next video where Grandpa took me to the Easter show.
The next train to arrive on platform 1 goes to Williston. First stop on time.
Okay, now the train.
What do we get on?
You get your application as quick as possible.
Yeah, as you can see with all these trains here, getting to the Easter show was quite a hassle as there was no parking, so we had to take quite a few different trains to get there. But after hours, we finally arrived.
So is this like the entrance?
Yeah, the first of the animals. Philip are actually over here.
Okay.
The first thing you'll probably notice about the footage, apart from how bad the video quality was of the professional Sony Handycams back then, was how bad the image stabilization was, which made practically every footstep appear like an earthquake. If you used a modern smartphone with a decent camera, such as the Galaxy S10 Plus or iPhone XS, you'd notice walking would be a lot smoother. Shortly after arriving, we had to go inside due to the rain, which wasn't picked up well on the camera, but it appears that my grandpa was completely oblivious to the rain and the fact that I wasn't following him into it.
Grandpa, it's still raining. Grandpa. Grandpa, it's still raining. Grandpa. Still raining.
Next up, we looked at the various animals on display, such as cows, sheep, goats, dogs, alpacas, horses, donkeys, geese, and bunnies. There were some chickens on display with the other animals, however I do have some bad news.
Okay, Mum, this is the map with everything. Unfortunately, no more chickens, so they don't have it right now. So there's no big massive room, sorry.
Yep, the room full of those different types of Chinese chickens and so on was closed, which my mum was very disappointed about, as those chickens were the whole reason she wanted me to bring the camera in the first place. Oh, and on the topic of bird-like animals, the following clip shows how annoying it must be to be a turkey. I bet that turkey wishes he could just rip that annoying part of his body off. Anyway, I didn't go on any rides this year, but I did see plenty of other things on display, such as the old horse carriages, and amazingly designed cakes that looked like chocolate bars, dogs and cars, handbags, pirate ships, and more. There was also a produce room where huge displays made completely of fruit and grains were shown, such as a massive fish made entirely of apples, and a bunch of massive books made of grains.
Are all those books and stuff made out of fruit?
Oh yes, they are. They're made out of grain.
You're right, they are.
After a bunch of walking around and looking at things, we checked out the show.
And they went to Tasmania. And if you look at them down there, there's a lovely...
The next day I made a video showing off another update of an app on my iPod Touch called Pocket God, and the day after that we attempted to film Jasmine in my mum's belly, but unfortunately we failed to catch anything.
How often do you feel her move?
Quite often, but just not now.
The next two videos were simply me talking about Powder Game and Windows 7, so let's move on to a video where my dad gets frustrated trying to use a mouse to play Bookworm on PC rather than playing it with his finger on my iPod Touch. Have a listen to the background music change to match his anger level.
Oh, I think I'm not going to get good at this now.
Too late.
This mouse is hard to use. I did Fed, it's not doing it.
Fed?
I did it
late,
3
too
times! Oh, this is driving me nuts, this mouse. The mouse is moving too slow! It's moving too slow, Phil.
Oh no.
Its mouse is too slow. Oh, the mouse is too slow! Oh, I've had enough of that now.
Now that's why you should be grateful that you have an iPod to play that on.
Anyway, towards the end of the holidays, I was pretty annoyed due to all the schoolwork I had to do for my IST assignment.
Okay, the last 5 days or so of my life have been absolutely horrible. It's just been work, constant work.
Yeah, I was pretty annoyed about that. Let's take a quick look at my awful banner ad for our company's fake phones. So it starts off, ever felt bored with your phone? Felt like it needed more. Not sure about why the colours are all changing here, but at least the phone names are clear, even though one of the names is a complete rip-off of the iPhone. The worst part though is how the Eon 1000 has that blue dot graphic floating on the left side of it that I didn't even bother to get rid of. Oh, and the ad basically lists no features of the phone, so I'm not sure why anybody would ever click it. Anyway, the last videos of the month are just me complaining about Big Pond Internet and discussing yet another Pocket God update, so we'll just end off this episode here, and I'll see you guys next time in the next episode featuring May 2009, the month where I visit my grandparents' house and we start counting down the days until my sister's born. I'll see you then.